Okay, so we can just throw it open, y'all ask questions, and I'll try to answer them as best I can.
On Senator Sessions, you said you would not characterize his testimony before the Senate committee as lying. Would you characterize it as honest, misleading, or in any other way?
Well, Al Franken asked a question in the context of the election and context between Trump surrogates, and I think Jeff Sessions answered in that context. It's also possible he just didn't remember meeting with an ambassador 4 months ago. We all meet with lots and lots of people, including ambassadors all the time, but I don't think Jeff Sessions had any intention to mislead. He's taken the advice of the Ethics Council and the Department of Justice, though, and recused himself from the matter, and if that's what he thinks is the right decision, then I support that decision.
Senator, kind of along those lines, does it concern you, I mean, you're a member of the Intelligence Committee, does it concern you that it seems like every turn, someone from the Trump administration has had some contact with Russian officials, and they don't seem to be able, I wouldn't say they're not telling the truth about it, but it seems like it takes a report in the news media for them to come out and tell the truth about it. Does that concern you?
I think a lot of these contacts have been overblown and exaggerated. Just this week, for instance, it was reported that Jared Kushner, the president's special advisor, and Mike Flynn, as former national security advisor, met with the Russian ambassador in the transition. That's, again, the most normal thing in the world. I can tell you, I had multiple ambassadors or foreign ministers coming through my doors during the transition, specifically asking how they should approach Donald Trump and with whom they should meet to try to establish new personal ties to maintain good relations between our nations. One of the 2 meetings that Jeff Sessions was reported to have had with the Russian ambassador was at a speech at the Republican National Convention that was sponsored by the Obama Department of State. Again, it's very common to be meeting with ambassadors and foreign ministers and other leaders from foreign countries. I think that's part of the job that Arkansans expect me to do, and that the voters in other 49 states expect their senators to do.
Senator, the president has come out against the leaks that have come out and have been in the media. What's kind of your comment on that? He has said that that someone should investigate those leaks. What would be your comment?
Well, a lot of these leaks are very serious, and they're damaging to our national security because they have the potential to reveal to our adversaries what we know and what we don't know, or our capabilities of knowing those things. The FBI, as our counterintelligence service, is responsible for investigating those leaks. I believe that the FBI is going to pursue them, just as they should be pursuing any leaks of classified information, especially when it comes to potential sources and methods. Regardless of the content of what's been leaked, anytime these things are leaked, it's a very serious breach of our national security laws and the regulations governing classified information.
What would kind of be your comment? Say devil's advocate says that a lot of Republicans were very adamant about leaks during the election as far as the Democrats, that sort of situation, and then whenever the Republicans are in power in Congress and also in the White House, they're very quick to kind of dismiss them, investigate them.
Well, I take leaks of classified information and leaks of our intelligence capabilities very seriously, no matter who's in the White House, no matter who is in charge of the Congress, and they should always be investigated thoroughly. So it's always a serious matter. Now, there are avenues that are legal and appropriate for people inside the government if they have information of wrongdoing, of negligence, of even criminal activity that they can do. They can come to the Congress and to the committee that oversees that particular agency. They can go to their department's inspector general. There are ways to surface claims or suspicions of wrongdoing or even criminal activity that don't involve leaking classified information in violation of law.
This question has to do regarding immigration.
Why don't we let him finish?
I'm sorry, I got one final follow-up.
Okay.
As far as that's concerned, I mean, do you expect any future congressional oversight committee taking a look at the leaks or any sort of situation like that?
So the Intelligence Committee, like other committees, is an oversight committee. It's not a law enforcement committee. We don't have the tools that the FBI does. So the FBI will take the lead responsibility for investigating potential violations of classified information laws. However, we as the oversight committee will ensure that the FBI is pursuing those matters and doing so in an appropriate fashion.
This question is regarding immigration. Arkansas is one of the fastest growing states with a Latino population. A lot of that has to do with our agriculture. have you analyzed the impact that extreme measures against illegal immigrants is going to have on our agriculture, on our economical system in the state?
Well, I think we have to take a step back and look at immigration, not just from the context of illegal immigration, but immigration more broadly. We're a nation of immigrants, but we're also a nation of laws. And if we want to reform our immigration system more broadly, we have to focus on enforcing those laws. And that's what Donald Trump and John Kelly, as Secretary of Homeland Security, has said we're going to do. We're going to enforce our laws. That'll give the American people the confidence we need to change our immigration laws to reflect modern economic conditions. And ultimately, if we have declining rates of immigration, if we refocus immigration on high-skilled immigrants, and that means that we get more jobs and more wages for the citizens of Arkansas, whether they came here legally and took the oath of citizenship last year, or whether their ancestors came over on the Mayflower, I think that's a good thing for Arkansans, to have more work and have higher wages.
This is where my concern is regarding to this matter. One of my first jobs was actually picking up watermelons from the fields. It was not an easy job. I didn't see many Americans working doing that job. There were mainly immigrants. One of my other jobs was to clean rice fields. If anyone here has done that job, it's extremely difficult. Not a lot of people wants to do it. In order to get workers, typical Americans, you will have to raise their pay. If you raise their pay, the product will have to go up as well. In order for, we need the immigrants on our state, and it's not as easy as saying they need to come here legally to become, part of our system. It's a long, difficult process. Regarding national security, I know that we need to have extreme measures towards that, but at the same time, I believe that our focus should be on the Trump administration ties with Russia, instead of being focused on our illegal immigrants at this point. What do you think about that?
Well, just on the impact of immigration and wages, I don't think anyone can dispute that mass levels of unskilled and low-skilled immigration hurt wages of American citizens. Whether they just immigrated here last year, or whether their ancestors have been here for hundreds of years. You talked about watermelons and rice in particular. Those are just two examples of commodities. That yes, if immigration levels fall, then wages may have to rise somewhat, which means prices might be a little bit higher. I, for one, think that's not a bad thing. That could be a good thing, because we are more than just consumers of things. We are producers as well, people who work and have the dignity and self-respect of a decent job to support their family. So I think many Arkansans see too many of their fellow citizens out of work and not having a decent wage. And I just think that that's where we need to refocus our immigration efforts, is to focus on what's in the best interest of American citizens. And frankly, the evidence, not just your personal experience or the personal experience I hear from people who have held those jobs or employed people in those jobs, it is not consistent with the statistical evidence across the country. There's no job in America that is not held by a majority of native-born Americans. Immigrants make a lot of great contributions to our society. They work very hard jobs, like in the rice fields or in construction or what have you. They create great companies, but there's no job in America that is not a majority or more of American citizens. So I simply do not agree with the claim that there are certain jobs Americans won't take. I think it sells American citizens short.
Senator, I've got a question for you. Talking about Donald Trump's border wall, between Mexico and the United States, we trade about $600 billion worth of goods, give or take a few $1 billion a year. If we impose he's thrown this idea about a 20% border tax. If we do that here in Arkansas, we sell soybeans to Mexico. I think the soybean market's about $1.4 billion a year. And I've been told by many soybean farmers, what will happen is if the tax is placed on those products like that Mexico's going to start buying soybeans from Argentina and Brazil, because they're already cheaper down there, but the quality here's a little better, but a price point like that's going to be too much. So my question is do you support raising taxes or tariffs on imports from Mexico? And it's almost certain that they'll reciprocate that. So do you support a measure like that?
Well, more broadly, I think the idea of having an import tax, which the House of Representatives has proposed, is is not gonna be good for Kansans. Whether they're growing and exporting soybeans and rice, or whether they're shopping at Walmart for goods that are brought into our country, or whether they work at a Walmart or a Dillard's or a small retailer, which is the single largest sector of employment in our state. I think that we can update NAFTA. I think that it's open to renegotiation. We might even expand it to the United Kingdom now that they voted to leave the European Union. But I recognize that Arkansans depend on trade, especially trade with Mexico. And ultimately, it's in both of our interests to have good trade deals that bring goods into this country, that provide us opportunities to create jobs that export, and that helps Mexico grow and become more prosperous and stable.
So just to be clear, you would not support a trade war or a tariff on Mexican goods?
I don't think anybody wants a trade war. Donald Trump has said a lot of different things about trade, but at bottom, what he has said is that he believes in free and fair trade. He doesn't believe in stupid trade. And he thinks that too often in the last 20 to 30 years, our country's leaders have negotiated bad trade deals for us. And if you look at the rhetoric that was used to sell some of those trade deals, I don't think you can say that he has a point. And he claims he's gonna get better deals. So I hope that's the case. And when he brings them to Congress for ratification, the way I'll judge that is whether that specific deal is good for Arkansans, good for us in jobs, good for us in prices and goods as well.
All right, we're out of time.
All right,
Thank y'all.
thank y'all.